I watched our investors' funds vanish from the dashboard in real time. 2 clicks. One bank transfer drained every dollar we raised, and my co-founder was already in Cabo, sipping margaritas. Over the next few minutes, I'll take you from our first pitch deck successes through the red flags I ignored, shady wire transfers, secret meetings, and the moment I realized this was more than a business betrayal. You'll learn how I quietly froze corporate accounts, enlisted a forensic accountant, and built a digital trail that led straight to the culprit. Stay tuned to see how I turned a collapsing startup into my most satisfying victory, and why no betrayal, no matter how calculated, can escape justice. I'm Jason Cole, a 32-year-old tech entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. I co-founded Apex Solutions 5 years ago with my college friend, Maya Patel, driven by a shared vision to revolutionize smart home security. We bootstrapped the company through late-night coding sessions in our garage and closed our first angel round within 8 months. By 2020, we had secured partnerships with major retailers and built a team of 20 engineers. I handled product development and investor relations, while Maya managed operations and finance. Growing up in a military family, I learned discipline and loyalty early on, but I never imagined I'd face a betrayal from someone I trusted more than family. Maya and I celebrated every milestone together: graduation caps, demo days, and our first $1 million contract. On the surface, we were unstoppable, but beneath the shiny press releases and pitch decks, small cracks were forming, and I didn't even see the warning signs yet. I started noticing the little things first: funds going missing from our joint expense account, unexplained vendor payments flagged as urgent, and Maya's new habit of closing laptop lids when I walked into her office. She'd always been transparent about the finances, until suddenly she wasn't. One afternoon, I sat down to reconcile our books and discovered a wire transfer tagged confidential partnership for nearly $50,000 to an account I'd never authorized. When I confronted Maya, she brushed it off as a late-stage investor advance, but her eyes darted away and her voice grew tight. Then came the secret Slack channels. I'd catch glances of private conversations between Maya and an unknown collaborator, coded messages popping up at 2 a.m., disappearing as soon as I clicked. Our company chat logs were supposed to be public to our executive team, but these were hidden behind custom permissions she'd set up without telling me. Telephone calls followed. I'd dial her number only to hear one ring and then an immediate hang-up. When I tracked the call metadata, it routed through an offshore number. Every instinct in me screamed that this was more than a simple miscommunication. It was a calculated betrayal. Late that night, I pulled up security footage from our office camera. Through the grainy black and white feed, I watched Maya slip into the finance director's cubicle and retrieve a folder from her locked drawer. My stomach dropped as I recognized the label: Investor Agreements, Final. In that moment, the startup I'd poured my life into felt like a house of cards. The warning signs were no longer subtle. They were glaring red flags demanding action. And I realized this wasn't just about money. It was about protecting everything I'd built from the inside out. I refused to react in anger. I needed precision. First, I changed every password: bank portals, Slack workspace, investor dashboards. I enabled two-factor authentication on every corporate and personal account. No more easy entry points. Next, I contacted our corporate lawyer under the radar, explained the discrepancies, and asked her to draft a confidentiality agreement to lock down sensitive files. While Maya thought she still controlled the narrative, I secured encrypted backups of every board presentation, term sheet, and investor email in a private folder only I could access. I then hired a forensic accountant, someone neutral and battle-tested, to run a full audit of our ledgers. She worked off-site, combing through transaction histories, cross-referencing invoice records, and flagging anything that didn't match our standard approval processes. I watched her preliminary report slide into my inbox at 2 a.m., highlighted in red. Multiple unauthorized wire transfers, one recurring vendor account that led to an undisclosed shell company. Meanwhile, I asked our CTO to roll out an emergency security update to limit file sharing permissions. Development branches were isolated. Only essential executives retained access. In team meetings, I expressed vague concerns about data integrity and upcoming compliance checks, all designed to buy time without tipping Maya off. Finally, I quietly lined up my allies. Our head of HR received a confidential briefing, and I alerted 2 board members by secure message, requesting their support for an urgent special audit. By sunrise, everyone who mattered was on the same page, except Maya, who still believed she was moving pieces in private. In those silent hours, I transformed from a startled founder into a strategist preparing for the next move. Every safeguard put in place was another defense against her betrayal, and another step toward reclaiming control. I realized that internal measures alone wouldn't be enough. I needed formal legal backing. First thing the next morning, I met with our corporate attorney in a windowless conference room. I laid out the forensic accountant's report. Unauthorized wire transfers, shell company invoices, and stolen investor agreements. We drafted a detailed demand letter to Maya and the board, threatening immediate civil action and injunctions if the funds weren't returned within 72 hours. While the attorney prepared filings, I submitted a report to the State Department of Financial Institutions, flagging potential securities fraud. I provided redacted documents showing how Maya had diverted funds under the guise of vendor expenses. Within hours, an examiner acknowledged receipt and opened a preliminary inquiry. Next, I coordinated with our head of security to secure physical evidence, backup tapes from the server room, time-stamped access logs, and CCTV footage from the finance office. Each item was cataloged, logged, and stored in a sealed evidence locker off-site, ready to be subpoenaed. Meanwhile, I quietly informed 3 key investors of the situation, sharing only the facts: irregular account activity and our planned legal strategy. Their response was immediate. They put the company's board vote on hold and authorized emergency funds to cover legal fees. That meeting ended with a unanimous decision, authorizing me to pursue litigation and secure an interim receiver to oversee our finances. By sunset, I had a demand letter delivered via certified mail to Maya's attorney, a fraud report filed with state regulators, physical and digital evidence secured and logged, investor backing for legal actions guaranteed. As I stepped out of the courthouse with our attorney, I felt the balance of power shift. What began as a hostile takeover from within was now a full-blown legal offensive, one that would leave no room for doubt or escape. I stepped into the courtroom with my attorney at my side, the heavy oak doors closing behind us like the final seal on a battle plan. The gallery was packed with investors, board members, and Maya's legal team, all eyes on the plaintiff's table. As the judge called the session to order, I presented the case with calm precision. Evidence Exhibit A, forensic accountant's report detailing the unauthorized $50,000 transfer. Exhibit B, server logs and CCTV stills showing Maya accessing locked financial folders. Exhibit C, the demand letter and investor authorization emails. Each document slid across the desk as I spoke. Your Honor, these records prove a deliberate, premeditated breach of fiduciary duty. My voice was steady, betraying none of the tension. Maya's counsel attempted to cast doubt, questioning the chain of custody and suggesting alternative explanations. But when our corporate lawyer stood to cross-examine, her pointed questions unraveled every defense. Did you have board approval for this transfer? Can you explain why the shared company account was accessed from an offshore number? Were these invoice payments ever recorded in our public fiscal reports? Silence followed each question. Maya's denials rang hollow against the weight of certified evidence. The judge's expression never wavered as he reviewed the files, flipping pages methodically. Then came closing arguments. My attorney summed up, "This isn't a misunderstanding, it's a calculated betrayal that cost investors their trust and our company its stability. We ask for full restitution, removal of Maya from all corporate positions, and judicial oversight of Apex Solutions' finances moving forward." When the gavel finally fell, the room exhaled. The judge ruled in our favor, ordering Maya to repay the misappropriated funds, reinstating executive control to the board under a court-appointed receiver, and awarding legal fees. As I gathered my things, I felt a quiet vindication, not vengeance, but justice served with unshakable evidence. I exited the courtroom under the bright courthouse lights, knowing the startup's future was secure and the betrayal had been decisively confronted. I walked out of the courthouse into the late afternoon sun, the judge's decision echoing in my mind. Reporters lined the steps, snapping photos as I passed. I offered a brief statement. Justice was served today, and Apex Solutions is back on track. No theatrics, just the truth. Back at our headquarters, the atmosphere had shifted. A temporary receiver had arrived, escorted by a team of auditors. I watched from the boardroom glass as they took charge, reviewing every ledger and contract with unblinking focus. Investors stood in small clusters, nodding in approval. Their trust, once shaken, was being rebuilt in real time. That evening, I met with the board to finalize the handover. Maya was absent, her access revoked, her shares frozen pending repayment. We drafted a new governance charter, tightened oversight protocols, and appointed a new CFO, trusted by all stakeholders. As I signed the final page, the weight of responsibility felt lighter, replaced by a clear sense of direction. In the days that followed, we issued a press release outlining the changes: full restitution of funds, strengthened financial controls, and our commitment to transparency. Media outlets covered the story as a cautionary tale for startups everywhere. The coverage was surprisingly positive. Our decisive action and unwavering integrity became the headline. Meanwhile, I took a moment to reflect. I visited the empty co-founder's office, still furnished with Maya's desk and nameplate. I packed up her personal items, photos, awards, and handed them to HR for shipment. There was no bitterness in the gesture, only closure. That weekend, I retreated to a quiet lakeside cabin to recharge. With a journal in hand, I mapped out the next chapter for Apex Solutions: new product enhancements, a revised roadmap, and community outreach programs to share lessons learned. I sketched wireframes for a client portal that would offer real-time transparency, ensuring no one could ever manipulate our finances behind closed doors again. As I closed my notebook, I realized the aftermath of betrayal can be an opportunity for renewal. The judgment didn't just punish wrongdoing. It paved the way for stronger foundations, restored confidence, and a future shaped by hard-earned wisdom. I walked into the redesigned Apex Solutions office with a renewed sense of purpose. Gone were the heavy ivory walls, replaced by glass partitions and collaborative spaces bathed in natural light. My first order of business was a private demo for our key investors, a revamped smart home dashboard, now featuring real-time transparency reports that pulled data directly from our secured ledger. As I stepped onto the small stage in our open-plan workspace, I felt the weight of every betrayal fade. I guided the room through a live presentation, clicking through slides that highlighted our new security protocols, encrypted cloud backups, and an AI-driven alert system designed to flag any unauthorized transactions immediately. The investors watched intently as code snippets scrolled on the screen, each line a testament to the lessons learned from Maya's deception. By the time I unveiled the brand new mobile interface, customizable permissions, investor live feeds, and one-tap audit requests, applause broke out. It wasn't just for the product, it was for the resilience that brought us here. That afternoon, press releases hit the wire. Apex Solutions 2.0, Startup Betrayal, sparks industry-first security standard. Articles framed our story as a pioneering shift toward radical transparency in tech startups. That evening, I stayed behind to thank the core team members. We popped open bottles of sparkling water and toasted to a fresh start. I looked each of them in the eye and said, "This is our moment. We rebuild stronger, smarter, and more accountable than ever." And for the first time since the fallout, I couldn't stop smiling, because we were no longer defined by what happened, but by how we chose to move forward. I knew that lasting change would come only if we rebuilt our team from the inside out. The very next Monday, I hosted an all-hands meeting in our renovated workspace. I started by laying everything on the table: what happened, how we responded, and the safeguards now in place. Transparency wasn't a buzzword. It was our new operating principle. We introduced a weekly open ledger segment. Every Friday, all financial transactions and approvals are reviewed live by the entire staff. A rotating panel of team members, not just executives, asks questions and flags anomalies. No one is above scrutiny. Next, I rolled out a peer review system for any vendor payments over $1,000. 2 unrelated departments must sign off before funds move. This four eyes approach gave everyone a direct stake in our integrity. We also launched monthly lessons learned workshops. Each session, a different team member, engineer, marketer, operations, shares a real-world failure and the corrective actions we took. These candid debriefs turn mistakes into shared knowledge, reinforcing that admitting faults is a strength, not a weakness. To cement our new culture, I published a public trust charter on our website, detailing our commitments to auditability, open communication, and mutual accountability. Clients and investors could read it, and employees signed it during onboarding. Finally, we celebrated every milestone: hundreds of transparent audits completed, 0 irregularities detected, a year without unauthorized transactions. Each success was a reminder that trust, once broken, can be the foundation for something stronger when rebuilt openly and together. I've learned that stability isn't built overnight. It's engineered for the long term. Before we close this chapter, I want to share how we future-proofed Apex Solutions against any repeat of betrayal. First, we implemented an annual third-party audit. A reputable firm now reviews our books, our code base, and our corporate governance. No exceptions. Their report is published to investors and team members alike, ensuring continued transparency. Second, we automated anomaly detection across every financial and operational system. Machine learning models flag any unusual behavior, whether it's an unexpected invoice, a late-night server login, or a sudden change in code permissions, and send instant alerts to our executive breach response team. Third, we restructured equity and voting rights. Major decisions now require a supermajority of non-founder board members. This checks and balances model makes it virtually impossible for one person to act unilaterally. We also established an internal integrity council composed of rotating employees from all departments. They meet quarterly to review policy, suggest improvements, and serve as a confidential reporting channel for any concerns. Finally, I made a personal commitment. Every year on the anniversary of that fateful email, I host a company retreat at the lakeside cabin where I first regrouped. We reflect on lessons learned, reset our values, and reaffirm our shared mission to build technology that empowers trust, not undermines it. So, here's my final message. No matter how successful your venture, remember that true resilience comes from designing checks into your culture, systems, and strategy. Protect your company like you would protect your reputation, with vigilance, transparency, and an unbreakable commitment to integrity. Thank you for following this journey. If you face betrayal in business or life, share your own story below. And don't forget to subscribe for more hard-earned lessons and real-world victories. I didn't expect the fallout to turn into acclaim, but it did. A month after our relaunch, tech blogs ran headlines praising Apex Solutions' radical transparency standards. I was invited onto podcasts and panels to explain how we transformed a crisis into an industry-first security model. Each time I spoke, I reiterated one point. Betrayal can be a catalyst for innovation when you respond with integrity. Reporters asked for sound bites, but I stuck to facts. No dramatics, just the data. 0 irregularities, 10,000 live audits, and investor confidence restored. By the end of the quarter, our user base had grown by 30%, driven by clients who valued our commitment to openness. It was proof that doing the right thing, even under fire, also makes good business sense. Seeing the impact of our story, I felt compelled to give back. I partnered with a local startup accelerator to mentor early-stage founders on governance and security best practices. In monthly workshops, I shared war stories from our legal battle, the wire transfers, the shell companies, the court rulings, each lesson underscored by a clear takeaway. Graduate after graduate told me they'd built new safeguards before even taking seed money. Their appreciation reminded me that transparency isn't a burden, it's a competitive advantage. Outside the accelerator, I guest lectured at universities, framing our saga as a case study in crisis management. Watching the next generation embrace these principles felt like seeding the future with resilience. By year 2, Apex Solutions outgrew our Washington office. We opened a second hub in Austin, Texas. Designed from day one around our glass office concept, where financial dashboards are projected in real time on meeting room walls. I flew down for the grand opening, unveiling our new AI-driven audit engine that flags anomalies before they happen. Our headcount doubled to 80 engineers, each signing our trust charter on day 1. We rolled out enterprise partnerships with Fortune 500 clients who demanded verifiable accountability. As I watched our technology integrate into smart homes and commercial buildings alike, I realized that scaling wasn't just about growth. It was about exporting a culture of integrity globally. The founder journey is often lonely, but this one taught me empathy and humility. I still journal each night by lamplight in my lakeside cabin, reflecting on missteps as much as victories. I've learned to balance vigilance with trust, to secure systems without suffocating creativity. My vision now extends beyond Apex. I've begun drafting a book on crisis leadership, blending narrative and practical frameworks for entrepreneurs facing betrayal. At home, I prioritize time with my family and Scout, remembering that true resilience includes rest and renewal. Each sunrise reminds me that our best work happens when we build both strong systems and strong lives. As we conclude this journey, remember that every setback is an opportunity. If you've ever felt betrayed by a partner, a colleague, or fate itself, know that you can reclaim your story with measured steps and unwavering resolve. Start with one simple action today. Audit your most critical asset, whether it's data, relationships, or your own peace of mind. Share this video with someone who needs that spark of determination. Subscribe for more unflinching tales and actionable insights. And when you face your own crossroads, carry this principle with you. Design your future so no one can steal it again.